If you haven't listened to 3 6 Mafia by now, you've heard them be sampled somewhere. Power Glide, how about Side to Side? Ride with the Mob, how about you slob on my knob? Multiply, stay fly. I could go on for days, alright? 3 6 Mafia, along with Project Pat, were the founding fathers of the crunk era, horrorcore, and the cornerstones for the modern trap genre. Without them, rappers like Space Ghost Perp, Gucci Mane, Young Dolph, T.I., hell, ASAP Ferg's entire career probably wouldn't exist without 3 6 Mafia. The Migos probably wouldn't exist without Lord Infamous's flow. Bro, those vintage rap t-shirts, I know you've seen them somewhere. Someone just looked at an old 3 6 Mafia album, or just like Memphis rappers in general, and just had a like
Song Side to Side, 3 6 Mafia, Bow Wow was on it. It's a banger. I remember the song used to make me get up in the morning and just lay in the living room and just watch the whole thing. Watching it, like feeling like I was about to bust out my shirt. I started like just rapping on it, singing on it. You know what I'm saying? Like singing, rapping though.
Man, there will be no ASAP Rocky, no Migos, no Future, no nothing without people like Bone Thugs and Harmony and 3 6 Mafia.
It's undeniable what 3 6 Mafia brought to the table. And if I really sat here listing everything, we'd end up discussing the entire careers of both ASAP Rocky and Denzel Curry. But you didn't click on the video for that. Nor did you really think you'd end up watching a documentary about 3 6 Mafia. You're wondering if a rapper really pretended to be a female artist. Well, friends and folks, today we're going to be going over the single strangest rabbit hole ever dug up in the history of digging up strange rabbit holes. The long-standing rumor that Memphis legend Kingpin Skinny Pimp might also be the rapper Lady B. Before we get into all that, this video would not be made possible without the use of this specific article, The Hazy History of Kingpin Skinny Pimp and Lady B, written by L. Viper of Side B Music. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any more information about the author without doxing most of their private info, so I just want to thank them for writing this article. They did most of the research, they found all the evidence, and even went as far as to interview people who were close to the situation. And without all that, this video just would not exist. So shout out to L Viper for basically putting this all together. Kingpin Skinny Pimp wasn't an actual member of 3 6 Mafia. Instead, he was in that orbiter crew known as the Backyard Posse. But it's more appropriate to say he was just collaborating with them for a period of time. His debut album, King of the Players Ball, is one of the hardest albums I've listened to while researching for these videos. Nobody Crosses Me, Y'all Ain't No Killers, I Don't Love Them, Looking for the Chewin', Don't Test Me, All About Them Profits, straight bangers, bro. I was surprised to find myself really liking this album. The production by DJ Paul, just insane. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like kind of like listening to like a horror movie. The beats, the flows, everything about this album makes it worth listening to. And I'd really highly recommend it to anyone who wants to check out the work of Kingpin Skinny Pimp, or what the sound of Memphis rap was like at that time. Kingpin Skinny Pimp never gained much mainstream success, but much like 3 6 Mafia, he's been sampled endlessly throughout the years. If 3 6 Mafia is the king of being sampled in hip-hop, then Skinny Pimp is the king of being sampled in what I like to call edit raps. If you've ever browsed through TikTok or Instagram Reels long enough, you might have heard this beat. While I myself refer to these as edit raps, the technical term for this genre is drift funk. Funk, not funk, is a very niche type of genre within hip-hop, and it specifically involves using old Memphis rap lyrics that are chopped and screwed up and mixing that in with a modern funk beat. As much as we like to shit on Space Ghost Pussy nowadays, back in the early 2010s, he was the underground rapper. And to give credit where credit is due, he essentially popularized the funk genre. To keep it real with you, if it wasn't for Space Ghost Perp, the rap scene today would have looked somewhat different. ASAP Rocky probably would have stolen some other rappers' flow. Xavier Wolf and Denzel Curry might have really never been discovered. And TikTok would have sounded a whole lot different. SGP sampled a lot of 3 6 Mafia, but he was also influenced by DJ Screw and some jazz and some heavy metal. So combining all of that and sprinkling in some distorted funk beats, we had the earliest version of funk, which I can only describe as a type of music you'd put on after the party's done, like when everybody's on the couch and kind of out of it.
Like, nah, I'm on FaceTime. Nah, I'm just saying, this the man right here, bro. He just tried to attack me, bro. He won't let me hold the scooter, bro. Let me hold the scooter, bro. I'm just saying, look, why you doing that, though, bro? I'm showing my auntie how you acting, bro.
Believe it or not, Soulja Boy inspired this genre of music, and he was the first big rapper outside of the Memphis area to sample Kingpin Skinny Pimp on his track, Kingpin BZ. Here's the thing. I've been working on something called Everything Soulja Boy Did First, and originally, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it was going to be like short, simple, but this script's now like 25-something pages long because, I don't know, I like to ramble. So here's what I'm thinking. If you want to see a video about everything Soulja Boy did first, and I do mean like everything, write something along the lines of, So, I know there's some word to it, okay? But anyway, back to the funk genre, which somehow Soulja Boy did first.
And then, you got looking for the tune. Everybody in the world using that right now. So even Soulja Boy, Soulja Boy say everybody on his shit. Soulja Boy's on my shit.
Yeah, so like I'm saying, do they give you credit for like?
Soulja Boy gave me credit on that What About My Clientele song that he even said my name in the song, used my style off a couple of jumps off that Nobody Crossing Me. He used my style off that jump. Okay. No man, Mike, he messed with me tough. I really ain't never just sat down and did no music with Soulja Boy or not. I reached out to him. Yeah, I reached out to him a couple times. I ain't never got no response, but Mike, he always showed me love.
Okay.
A lot of funk relates back to the Memphis rap scene. They pretty much go hand in hand. By the mid-2010s, it was expanded upon and adopted by artists such as Lil Ugly Mane, Freddie Dredd, and the rest of the Raider clan. But what was already a super niche genre started developing its own branch of subgenres. By the mid-2010s, the funk genre somehow made its way towards Russia, and they crafted what's known as drift funk, which still samples Memphis rappers, but it's just TikTok music, alright? It's TikTok music. Space Ghost Perp somehow created TikTok music. I'm sure you've heard it somewhere, probably in like one of those aesthetic edit TikToks, but I bet you didn't know how to name to it. Drift funk was essentially created by a young Russian producer named Kato Shoma, who sampled Kingpin Skinny Pimp and Lil Jin's 1995 song, Midnight Hose, for his own track, Scary Gary. How this random Russian teen was one of the 10,000 or so listeners of Kingpin Skinny Pimp is beyond me, but he both created a subgenre of music, revived someone's career, and kept TikTok editors fed for years.
It's about
Drift funk easily outgrew all its predecessors, and from 2021 onwards, it's become one of the most popular genres of music. But I'd be wrong not to include the SoundCloud funk era, with music coming from producers like DJ Smokey, DJ Young Vamp, and Soldier. They easily kept the funk genre alive from 2015 to around 2020, with Memphis rap still being the foundation of it all. Since then, we've gotten Brazilian funk, Japanese funk, Indian funk, funk house music, funk music used specifically for memes, and while some of these have deviated far away from what funk originally was, it's not far off from what Memphis producers like DJ Squeaky and DJ Zerk were originally doing. What I didn't realize until making this video was just how popular the funk genre is. Every Spotify artist I clicked on had over 1 million monthly listeners, and it got me thinking, bro, tell me why the only thing I can think of is that one video of Fry hitting every beat. I don't know if it's just me, but that's the vibe I felt when listening to a lot of these funk songs. Although a lot of the credit can be given to Kato Shoma for starting this wave, Kingpin Skinny Pimp was the voice you heard throughout Scary Gary, albeit chopped and screwed, but regardless, it was Skinny Pimp. Around the early 2020s, Scary Gary became TikTok's unofficial anthem for the people who made those anime/drifting edits. You've seen them, right? Like where each edit matches the beat. Like it's kind of cool, it's kind of cringe, it's kind of both. It is what it is.
Oh my God, my insides are on fire! No, no, please, no more, no more.
Russian producers started using Skinny Pimp's vocals for their funk genre, resulting in tracks like Odium, Calmness, Old Genesis, and Trunk. We often say certain rappers make TikTok music, but there's no other way I can describe what I'm listening to. I would only listen to this if I was also scrolling on TikTok. To give you an example of what I mean, listen to this. That comes from the Not the Thermometer challenge, which sampled 3-6 Mafia's Ass and Titties, which in itself sampled Skinny Pimp's vocals from Looking for the Chewin'. Side note, have you ever heard a rapper sample themselves, like maybe their own chorus, maybe their own line, like maybe they said something and it becomes a producer tag? That was popularized by 3-6 Mafia. They are the champions of sampling themselves. And I know it sounds like cheating, but it's also kind of fire. It's literally how this song was made.
Say, not the thermometer, bitch, it's the 9 inches. Not the thermometer, say, not the thermometer, bitch, it's the 9 inches. Not the thermometer, not the thermometer, 9 inches.
I'm sure that when Skinny Pimp started, he had no idea he'd play such an integral part in the world of TikTok. But that just goes to prove how timeless his music really is. Now, it's hard for me to say whether or not these TikTok songs were the peak of his career. Because although a lot of them did end up becoming his most popular songs, no one really knows who he is because of them. No one who's actively a fan of Kingpin Skinny Pimp is listening to him solely because of Scary Gary or Trunk. And yet, those are still his most listened to songs. Before releasing King to Play His Ball, Skinny Pimp signed away all his rights to 3-6 Mafia's label, Profit Entertainment, for a measly $10,000. DJ Paul and Juicy J then convinced him to use $8,000 of it on a new car, and then tried pressuring him into using the remaining $2,000 on some rims. But Skinny Pimp wasn't that dumb. He instead chose to invest that last bit of money into both a recording studio and a record store, which later became his saving grace. King to Play His Ball sold over 60,000 copies, but none of that money made its way into Skinny Pimp's pockets. Instead, they were being used to fund the music videos of 3-6 Mafia. Naturally, he felt wronged by them and chose not to renew his contract, leaving the label right around the time he released his next album, Skinny But Dangerous. Now, I don't plan on reviewing every album, but can we take a moment to appreciate just how fucking sick these album covers are? They used to have so much sauce. 2000 Rap Dope Game? What the fuck? It had me considering buying a $60 CD. I don't even have a CD player. I don't even have $60. GNX? Move out the fucking way. We going back to the Players Ball. Skinny But Dangerous? That one might be my favorite though. Just the freakiness of the background. Like, I don't know. I kind of fuck with that. Skinny Pimp learned a lot while at Profit Entertainment, both in terms of producing music and managing new artists. So around 1993, he started up the Gimisum family with Lady B, Lil Jin, and Lil Yo, who you might also know as Yo Gotti. That's right, Yo Gotti was rapping alongside Kingpin Skinny Pimp at the age of 14. So without Skinny Pimp, we might have never had Yo Gotti's verse on Champions, or the song Rake It Up. Imagine a world without Yo Gotti. That means no Glorilla, no Black Youngsta, no Moneybagg Yo, no ESTG, no 42 Dugg, no AG Club. That man has a crazy ear for new talent, and props to Skinny Pimp for recognizing that early on.
Seeing Gotti being this little coming in the studio, my studio, and this dude might had his bankroll like this. At his like pulled up in his colors, you know.
Yeah.
In the 90s and back in '96.
Yeah.
Paying for his own studio time. I ain't know how to mix good and all this shit, but I'm like, come on, let's go. Shit, that shit was helping me pay my record store bill. You know? And you know, Gotti, he cold, man.
Investing in a studio and a record store really paid off. Skinny Pimp was able to bounce back by signing new artists, producing their music, and selling their mixtapes out of his record store. They did manage to break through outside of their local popularity in Memphis, making their way into cities like Atlanta, Miami, and Houston. The Gimisum family followed the dark, gritty tones of the Memphis rap scene. But what made Skinny Pimp's production just a bit different was how he was able to build suspense throughout his beats, often combining multiple samples in order to kinda tell a story. Gucci Mane and Metro Boomin, who both arguably invented the trap genre, even credit Skinny But Dangerous as being a major influence on their own music.
But Gucci, he like maybe the first one in Atlanta that started doing the trap music, I guess. I don't know. But he always supported and showed love to me though.
Yeah,
that's why I always gotta say he's one of my favorite artists because he always showed me love. Every interview you hear Gucci say Skinny Pimp, Skinny Pimp.
More than anybody, it's just all Memphis rappers, Kingpin, Skinny Pimp.
Gotta show me a lot of love too, bro. So those are my favorite two rappers.
The Gimisum family didn't come without its controversies though, some even coming as early as their debut. They were signing a bunch of young rappers, I'm talking like 12, 13-year-olds, and while that's sort of become normalized nowadays, this was back before the internet. No one was really trying to hear the thoughts of a 13-year-old. One of Skinny Pimp's first signees was Lil Jin, who by the age of 12 had better bars than rappers twice his age. While still in junior high, he was rapping about dealing drugs, shooting guns, drinking alcohol, going to strip clubs, pimping out women, and as you can imagine, that would cause quite a stir. It didn't help that he also still sounded like a child, and that his album covers included naked women. But overall, they kind of just claimed he was a midget, and I don't know, I guess it kind of worked itself out. Lil Jin was kind of groundbreaking in the sense that there weren't many teenagers that young rapping about drugs and murder. To put it in perspective, Lil Bow Wow was coming up during that same time, and comparatively speaking, he seemed like a Disney Channel rapper next to the likes of Lil Yo and Lil Jin. Lil Yo, or Yo Gotti, was also very young when he signed to the Gimisum family, which honestly, if it got them out of the streets and into a booth, I think it's one of the better decisions they could have made, regardless of the topics they chose to rap about. Most of the other rappers signed to Skinny Pimp were adults. He himself was around 17 when he started the Gimisum family. And as you can imagine by his name, he was also a pimp. And one of his bottom bitches was a woman by the name of Lady B. The story of Lady B is shrouded with mystery, rumors, and a bunch of misinformation. So I'm going to try my best to fill you in chronologically so you understand everything from all angles. But before we go any further, Lady B is like a real person. People have already found her private information before, so if you do end up coming across that, please don't go and harass her. This all happened like 30 years ago, and it's since become like just like a funny, odd little story in the hip-hop history books. So, you know, just keep that shit to yourselves. Sometime around 1992, Skinny Pimp met Lady B, and the two got married relatively fast. I'm talking like months into meeting each other. Skinny Pimp then helped produce 3 mixtapes for Lady B, but there was definitely something weird about 2 of them. Their first mixtape together, Some for the Streets Part 1, was a local hit, and although Lady B kind of rapped like Skinny Pimp, her voice was clearly that of a woman.
Bitch, you better believe I'ma receive what I want from him. I don't need no nigga, look your bitch, I got my own stove. Put some in a punk ass nigga drink, walk out with his clothes. Hollywood nor Memphis, bitch, Sandra Street, down with the Lady B. Land you niggas know I'm thick, rolling in my eye rock with the top drop kicking hard. Niggas rolling shawty, bitch, the listen down my boulevard. Niggas coming clean, niggas baby.
Their next mixtape, Some for the Streets Part 2, was a little bit different though. Lady B's voice was noticeably pitched up, sounding almost childlike in a sense. It's since been dubbed
the helium voice.
And while it wasn't noticed immediately by the fans of Lady B, some started wondering if it was really her. But the production was so good that it just didn't even matter.
Lady B, the pimp, make a cheese, we smoke always in the air. Why you running your mouth, bitch? I bet you ain't on welfare. No less 16,000 and rock clean on your funky ass. Bumping Johnny Taylor motor type 180 on the dash.
After releasing their final mixtape together, strictly for that there was very much no doubt that someone replaced Lady B. The rumor goes that after releasing their first mixtape together, Skinny Pimp started becoming unfaithful, leading to them getting a divorce, and Skinny Pimp losing most of his assets. It's why he signed to 3 Mafia for a really low offer. He was pretty much at rock bottom, and they kinda almost took advantage of that. From what I can verify, after getting divorced, Lady B opened up her own record store / record label in Memphis, signing independent rappers like the Hit 'Em Up Thugs and the legend Lady J. But they never took off the same way the Gimisum family did. Over the years, people on online forums have shared their experiences going inside of Lady B's record store, with most saying she had a very good ear for recommending music. There's even an address attached to the label, which if you put into Google Maps nowadays, you'll find yourself a grocery store. After conducting his original research on Kingpin, Skinny Pimp, and Lady B, L Viper left a lot of questions unanswered. The most important being if Lady B was a real person or not. We now know that she did exist, but before this article came out, the best theory that people could come up with was that she died of AIDS. And I'm not really sure how that spread, but that was the working theory for quite a while. L Viper would update his blog about 2 weeks after originally posting his findings, with more of a conclusive answer as to whether or not she really existed. Lady B's real name was actually Barbara, and at some point, she had converted a record store into a grocery / beauty shop, hence why it's a grocery store today. There's also a 1997 Memphis newspaper entry written about her, confirming her existence along with her divorce from Skinny Pimp. The article didn't focus much on her music or even the record store, but instead about her license plate, which proudly showed off that she was divorced. I personally couldn't find the article, but if what L Viper is claiming to be true, then it does line up with what we know about Skinny Pimp. The article claims that they've been separated for a period of time before officially getting a divorce in 1995. So that leaves a lot of room for questions, with the most important being, if they were separated, who was behind the voice of Lady B? When you compare her first mixtape to the other two, there's a very noticeable difference other than just the helium voice. Her first mixtape featured actual verses on each track. Someone trying to catch a beat, find a flow, something that made you feel like someone was trying to say something. In her second mixtape, that's all gone. She's barely even in her own tape, like she's like in half the songs. And when she is rapping, the verses are much shorter, a very far cry away from what she was originally spitting on her first mixtape. By the time the third mixtape was released, locals in the area already started questioning the whereabouts of Lady B, who was never seen in the public eye up until that point. Skinny Pimp only confirmed their marriage in 2005, so back in 1994, there was really no way of knowing who Lady B was, or if she even existed. For almost 20 years, the theories ran wild, with the most popular being that Lady B was never actually real, but rather Kingpin Skinny Pimp pitching his voice up in order to sound more like a woman. Look, I know it sounds crazy. Why would a hardened pimp who already has his own growing fan base need to resort to cosplaying as a female rapper, when there was really no shortage of them coming out of Memphis during that time? Why would someone who raps about pimping and hustling also make a song called Where the Big Dick's At? When you look at it from a purely logical standpoint, it makes no sense. But here's the thing though, the theories weren't really that far-fetched. Skinny Pimp had previously pitched up his own vocals for a track with Lil Jin, so we know he did have the tools to make this possible. By 2005, the rumors started spreading from word of mouth to online forums, and by 2011, we finally got substantial proof of all the allegations. Someone on YouTube by the name of Dave Hansen posted around 4 videos pitching down Lady B's voice, and finding that it closely resembled Skinny Pimp's real voice.
Nigga, where your niggas if it ain't big, don't unzip your pants. Niggas kills me, jumping in the bed with no rubber man. Please fucking free ass bitches fucking game around. Baby finger dick, you stick ain't shit. That's when you pussy bound. Yes, jeans is the best jeans for a monster. Is you packing or is you lacking when you try to run in the doggy style from the back? Take your time, do it right.
I've listened to a lot of Skinny Pimp over the past couple of weeks, mostly because I think he's kind of fire. So with all that being said, and with all the evidence brought forward online, there's no doubt in my mind that that helium voice was just a pitched up Skinny Pimp.
Bust the ass niggas talk shit, can't back it up. Niggas where they pimpin', but they lippin' to a problem. Fucking with the LADYB, I'm finna solve them. Broke ass nigga, I took your money from ya. You're crying, but I'm trying to take some out to show ya.
Bust the ass niggas talk shit, can't back it up. Niggas where they pimpin', but they lippin' to a problem. Fucking with the LADYB, I'm finna solve them. Broke ass nigga, I took your money from ya. You're crying, but I'm trying to take some out to show ya.
In 2013, a member of the Hypnotized Cam forum board spoke with an artist who had some close ties to Lady B. The legend Lady J, who previously released her album Too Hot to Handle through Lady B Records, revealed that, quote, Skinny Pimp altered his voice to disguise as a female for financial gain, and he actually thought of the name from his wife, which was a much older lady, named Barbara, and perhaps the lady name came from my stage name. Now, I can't guarantee that this came straight from the legend Lady J, but it adds up to everything we know so far, and it's the only known quote we have of anyone remotely close to the situation. That's pretty much all the information we have so far. Everything we know about Kingpin Skinny Pimp, everything we know about Lady B, and from everything we discovered, it's more than likely that Skinny Pimp was Lady B for a period of time. But the real question is, why? If you were to look through all the reviews and internet forums discussing Lady B, you'd find a whole lot of comments, and as you can imagine, some are not so nice. I'm gonna be real here. If one day I discovered that, 21 Savage was secretly a British female rapper, I don't know, I'd be kind of confused. What if you woke up one day and discovered that I was secretly a female VTuber, alright? You'd be kind of confused as well, okay? Don't get it twisted though, the honka honkas are just to max out donations, alright? Here's the thing, as weird as all this sounds, when you lay it all down and kind of scratch your head a little, it's really not as weird as it sounds. Lady B was real. There is proof of her existence, and she did record that first mixtape. When they were married, Skinny Pimp was really young, about 19, while Lady B was somewhere around 29. But they were doing quite well for themselves, managing to own both a nightclub and a studio. It was at that same nightclub where they met the members of 3-6 Mafia, and was at that studio where DJ Squeaky and Skinny Pimp worked on parts of King to Play His Ball. After separating from Lady B, Skinny Pimp was in a real bad state, losing both the club and the studio to bankruptcy, and having to move back in with his auntie. He then got signed to 3-6 Mafia around 1994, but he never quite made the money he thought he would from them. So what I believed happened is that during 1994, when he was still separated from his wife and in a real bad situation, he thought he could financially benefit from rapping under the moniker of a female artist. Maybe perhaps to gain a female audience, maybe to gain some money, who really knows? Listen, when you're at your most vulnerable and at the lowest point in your life, there's nothing you wouldn't do for money, alright? Don't get mad at me if you end up seeing me as a female VTuber. With the price of everything nowadays, the honka honkas are gonna cost a little extra, alright? As much as I like to think it was mostly for a financial incentive, which it might have been, others have theorized that there was a deeper meaning to all this. You could imagine that his mental well-being probably wasn't that great, given that he was going through a divorce and losing most of his assets. So it's possible he might have just been going through something, and releasing this could have been a cathartic experience for him. Think about it. You can't be a pimp rapping about getting divorced. Just go get another home, man. What are you doing? This is the 1990s we're talking about. The biggest joke men had were about how much they hated their wives. The lyrics were rather questionable though, especially considering how one song was about wanting to sleep with big dick men. But there's also one track that kinda almost makes it seem like he was doing all this to win Lady B back. Nowadays, we have rappers making whole albums about heartbreaks, but back then, being a sensitive rapper really wasn't a thing. Sure, there were love songs, but 808s and Heartbreak didn't drop yet. No one was really doing that sad rapper shit. And it wasn't really that no one had these emotions, but rather it was the gangster era. It wasn't really popular to be sad yet. One of the more important tracks of the third mixtape is That's My Man, which consists of Helium Lady B rapping about all the things that make her boyfriend great, with the hook being about how jealous women are always trying to get their hands on him.
That's my man, that's my man, that's my man, that's my man.
Jealous hoe, jealous hoe, jealous hoe, jealous hoe. If you think you got my nigga, bitch, you better think again. Once I push the color ID box, I got my number to my man. He calls me every night when I'm heading out to rob. He take me to the beauty shop, that's when he be on his job.
Imagine this. Why would a woman who was at the time separated from her husband, who, by the way, happens to be the producer of this song, rap about how happy she is with her boyfriend? Skinny Pimp has made it known that he was unfaithful. It's why the separation kind of took place. So, for real, it makes no sense for her to call other women jealous. It'd kind of be the other way around. But if we assume it's coming from the perspective of Skinny Pimp, the song starts to make a lot more sense. It's the fantasy of a man who longs for the perfect marriage, but he tells it through the perspective of his wife. He's the perfect boyfriend, and even though they've had their ups and downs, he's still the man she loves. It ends with him cleaning up his act, going to church, and eventually proposing to her. They get married, move into a big house with a big backyard, and their dreams have finally come true. The reality is, that didn't happen. They never ended up buying that house. Lady B and Skinny Pimp never got back together. And it wouldn't make sense for Lady B to think about this while on the brink of a divorce. It's the weirdest form of cope I think I've ever seen. The worst possible way to try and win back your wife, by pretending to be her. And while it didn't end up working, I can't help but commend him for at least trying. Many have theorized that after releasing Strictly for That, Skinny Pimp was finally able to move on from the separation of his wife. It would explain why Lady B never appeared in any of his further music, or why she was never mentioned by name ever again. It's possible that he used this opportunity to express how he felt in the way he best knew how to, by rapping. And through this, he was finally able to move on from his wife. The other more plausible explanation is that when people realized he was Lady B, he got embarrassed and stopped rapping as his ex-wife.
With Lady B to never release another album again.
As for Lady B, I don't think she was won over by her husband pretending to be her. In fact, I think this just made things even worse since they got a divorce a year after. She also drove around with a divorce license plate, so, take that as you will. And as for Skinny Pimp, he obviously moved on. He has 2 children, both of whom are doing pretty well for themselves. One of them's even a rapper named ATM Rich Baby, who's kinda like an off-brand Pooh Shiesty. It might just be that they're both from Memphis, but Rich Baby is kinda like if the Back in Blood Flow was a rapper.
They like Rich Baby, drop a song, the other rappers bore me.
It's one of the strangest rabbit holes I've ever uncovered, but I'm honestly more intrigued than I am weirded out. I didn't think Kingpin Skinny Pimp would be so integral. Not really. He's like a background player in my life. I didn't realize how important Memphis rap was in general. Without 3 6 Mafia, without Skinny Pimp, TikTok would sound so much different. Music would sound so much different. There'd be no trap music. Most producers wouldn't even have their careers right now. Bro, random Russian teens were using their vocals to start their own genre of music, and millions of people now listen to it every day. You know what's crazy? I've been listening to Nobody Crosses Me every time I get into my car. And all I can think of is the song Vamp Anthem by Playboi Carti. And then I keep thinking about Playboi Carti's career. For a period of time, he was being called a bisexual vampire. And now he's one of the most listened to artists on the planet. What I'm trying to say is, it's not that weird that Skinny Pimp was pretending to be his wife for 2 mixtapes. It's still kind of weird, but not enough to warrant the responses he gets when people find out. Look, he was down on his luck, going through a divorce, he needed money, and he thought this was the best way to do it. He didn't think anyone was going to catch him, and to be fair, no one had the tools to really expose him until almost 2 decades later. Did he rap about wanting big dicks? Yeah, I guess that's kind of strange. But when you're a 19-year-old dude pretending to be a woman, what else are you going to rap about? It's the first and only version of a catfish rapper that I could find. I won't deny how strange it is, but it's nothing that should ruin his reputation or tarnish his legacy. I just thought it'd be a funny story to talk about. I didn't realize how deep this would go. I didn't think I'd end up talking about Yo Gotti or Russia or even TikTok for that matter. I don't know if he's ever going to get the credit he deserves, or if he's ever going to be able to shake off that rumor, but I can't deny how influential Skinny Pimp was. And without him, I don't know if the same rappers I listen to now would be making that same type of music.
So, Gucci Mane, I'm curious. When you first started rapping, who were some of your inspirations?
Kingpin, Skinny Pimp.
Also, a big shout out to Memphis rappers in general. I just never realized how influential they were. I'll be honest, I listened to more Juicy J than I have 3 6 Mafia. I listened to the fuck out of Stay Trippy in middle school. Also, he's one of the best feature artists of all time. Think about it. Wasted, Guns and Butter, Trippy, 23, Black and Yellow, Lolly, Wavy Bone, the end of that One Weekend song. Dude, his catalog is elite, and we're only talking about his solo career. I also grew up listening to a lot of A$AP Rocky, so, Shut the Fuck Up and Yeah Ho are both ingrained into the back of my mind.
Juicy J and A$AP Rocky, we gon' pull up too deep. I'm too rich for all that yapping, nigga, talking too cheap. Now we know you niggas chicken, you don't really do beef. Got the K like KFC, but you can catch this 2-piece. Juicy J and A$AP Rocky, we gon' pull up too deep.
Also, every time I think of Juicy J, all I can think about are his sunglasses. I don't know if I've ever seen a picture of Juicy J without sunglasses on. Like, I had to search it up for this video. Also, I know I made this point for Absol in my last video, but Juicy J doesn't, even have a medical condition for it. You just be indoors wearing sunglasses and shit.
Wherever you at, you in a strip club, you trying to see her shake that, you gotta let them up, Dark in there. Dark in the club, so okay, all right.
I've also listened to a lot of 3 6 Mafia over the years, but I never had a phase where I solely got into them. I just pick up different songs that I kind of liked, maybe if another rapper used a sample or something like that. Lord Infamous did have my favorite line deliveries though. I know he'd say some crazy shit, but damn was he nice. I kind of also like to think Koopsicle was a pioneer in lo-fi rapping, and obviously DJ Paul is one of the most influential producers of all time. Project Pat's flow is quite literally iconic. Many have tried to recreate the sound, and when they did, Atlanta trap music was literally born. One thing I didn't realize was just how good Gangsta Boo was. No joke, she holds her own in most of these. She has a very powerful voice. Her cadence, the way she raps, it fills in the beat. Sometimes a rapper rides the beat, she makes the beat work around her. All this to say, 3 6 Mafia was generational. Memphis rap in general can be considered generational. There are still people to this day from all around the world asking Kingpin, Skinny Pimp, Juicy J, DJ Paul, DJ Zerk, etc., to clear their samples, with the most recent example being Denzel Curry. His mixtape, King of the Mischievous South Volume 2, had Skinny Pimp doing the narration for it, the intro, outro, and the interlude. So it's nice to see rappers giving their flowers back to the older generation.
I was at Renegade House on 191, and we was chilling and shit. And he was like, bro, I got Skinny Pimp over the phone. And then me and him was talking. And I talked to Skinny Pimp. That was the first time I really met Skinny Pimp.
Yeah.
Was over the phone. And then we followed each other, and that's it been like that ever since.
So what was you approaching him to kind of, narrate the album? Was it pretty easy?
It was very easy. All I did was just reach out, and he hit me back and got his number. We talked about it. I sent him the tracks, and then he sent me all the stuff that he did, all the narration and stuff. And then he was just hey, feel free to sample any of my old stuff, right? So that's why you get like Lunatic and some Gimisum family stuff on the album.
I know we're at the end of the video and all, but you guys are the real ones who stayed, so I'm gonna give you some fun facts. The movie Hustle and Flow, which was actually a really fun watch, was directly inspired by the Memphis Pimp rap scene. It's loosely based on a bunch of different Memphis rappers, but at one point in the movie, we get introduced to a character named Skinny Black, played by Ludacris, and he was basically the amalgamation of both Gangsta Black and Skinny Pimp.
People, I got snip this too. Look at you now. Remember Skinny? Skinny Black. I think I see a hater right there. Hey, there goes Skinny Black, man.
The whole point of his character is that he's an asshole and the villain of the story. But I felt like the main protagonist, DJ, was just somewhat worse. Other than being a pimp, he was kind of a dickhead in general. Like, he's always yelling for some reason, and he kind of like beats the fuck out of Skinny Black. Like, bro, I get it, he destroyed your CD, but you couldn't take like one day to figure things out. You just had to end up in jail because you got mad someone didn't like your music? Come on, bro. And then he had like a plan all along somehow. Like, he goes to prison and then he gets like one radio hit and then thinks he's the greatest rapper of all time, which, fair enough, it did end up winning an Academy Award for Best Original Song.
Ludacris, Shaka, what's up? Going down,
y'all, man.
George Clooney, my favorite man. He showed me love when I first met him.
Memphis, we bring the house.
We out of here.
Memphis, Tennessee.
There's a lot of domino effects that we could really get into. But one of the craziest is Skinny Pimp discovering Kia Shine way back in 2001. And if you know anything about Kia Shine, you know that he had credits on Drake's Best I Ever Had, arguably the song that jumpstarted Drake's career. Would Drake still be as big as he is without Kia Shine? Probably yeah. But it's that kind of snowball effect where everything played out the way it should for us to listen to the music we do now.
We vibing or whatever, bro, and I play him this record I had, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we could do it real big, bigger than you ever done, so just do it for the boy, do it for the boy. That was the song, the hook and the beat that I gave Wayne. Wayne ended up making that genre or whatever, and then Drake ended up sampling that, you know what I mean?
Again, I want to thank L Viper for putting together that article and doing most of the heavy lifting. It's legit such a crazy story that I'm surprised no one's really brought it up yet. Skinny Pimp has copyrighted videos before, so I'm not really sure if this will stay up. Fuck. But I hope he knows I mean no harm in telling his story. I really do think he is one of the most important rappers of all time, and millions, possibly billions of people have listened to his music before without even knowing it. But that's all, folks. If you fuck with 3 6 Mafia, Skinny Pimp, or any of the rappers I mentioned, let me know some fun facts about them in the comments below. I'm always open to researching these strange tales, and I'm not running out of ideas, okay? So don't think that. Just comment down below, okay? I'm hoping you guys enjoy these original videos, because I don't know what my channel is anymore. I guess I just like talking about weirdly interesting stuff. So if you like that, subscribe, check out my other stuff. I glazed Kendrick recently, and it barely worked out, but if you want to check that out, click here. And if you don't want to, you can check out my female VTuber streams down below. I'm also debating whether or not to release a video on Soulja Boy or Lil B, because they're both kind of equally interesting, but I don't know. I don't know what to work on first. So let me know what to decide on, and yeah, peace.
I remember one time Project Pat DM'd me.
That's my dude.
He was like, "You a crazy crackhead." I'm like, "I'm not a crackhead. I never smoked crack." And I felt real bad about it, but
that's such an unwarranted.
I was kind of like a crackhead. I just didn't smoke crack, you know.
You don't necessarily have to smoke crack to be considered a
realized
crackhead.
that
Yeah.
now.
You just have to be skinny and like drink a lot.
Right,
Everyone's
but
like,
he
you're a
was
crackhead.
"Yeah, you a crazy crackhead."
Yeah.
Like, what?
You know what? I think it just got a little easier out here for a pimp.